All right, here we go. Unit 5, lesson 15. Putting all the solids together, let's calculate volumes of prisms, cylinders, cones, and pyramids. Evaluate the volume of each solid. So for this, we have let's kind of organize our thoughts here. So the shape is a triangular prism. How do I know that? Well, the bases are triangles. So the base is a triangle. And you got two congruent bases, which are translated from the bottom to the top by these directed line segments. So let's talk about the area of the base. The area of the base is this triangle right here with sides 3 and 8. And the area formula for any triangle is 1/2 little b little h. And you learned that in 8th grade. So let's solve that. So with right triangles, it's pretty simple. You just take the bottom, which is like the base, the little b, and then this is considered the height of this triangle right here, the 3-8 triangle. And this is the hypotenuse, the dashed line, because you got a little box right here saying it's a 90-degree angle. So it's 1/2 8 times 3. So area equals 1/2 24. So area equals 12. Okay. So you might just write B equals 12, because B stands for the area of the base. Now, since we're talking about volume, now volume is like basically like the amount of cubic units something takes up. So like this soccer ball has a volume, barely fits under my phone. Okay, so this soccer ball has a volume. This is a soccer ball. It would zoom out, but I guess I could zoom out. Hang on one second. All right, so this soccer ball barely fits under my phone, right? All right, so it has a volume, and there's a formula for volume for every single like shape that we talk about. Now, for a prism, we're going to talk about the volume formula. Now, there's a number of ways you can like write these, but for a prism, it's just base times height, because there's no apex on this thing. It's just there's not like a point where all the vertices of the base go to, like a pyramid would be. So there's no apex, like there's no top point. So there's like an apex. There's an apex, like a pyramid or a cone. The prism doesn't have an apex, so it's just base times height. Now we're going to compute that. So volume equals the base, which we already wrote right here, is 12. And then the height is 10. That's the height of this thing. So like, let's see if I can get this right. Yeah, I've got one here. So kind of similar to this one, right triangle. You can see it's like, it's kind of like that shape right there. These right here, these are considered the height. This is part of my skate park. Works really well for a triangular prism. But anyway, volume equals 12 times 10. So the volume on this one is 120. And then you check for, like, does it say centimeters or inches or feet or anything? No, it doesn't. So you just go cubic units. And that one's done. Let's go to the cone. So the 3D shape, we should be more specific here. The 3D shape is a cone. The base is a circle. The area of the base is simply the area of the circle formula. So you go A equals pi r squared. So A equals pi, r is 5 squared, so A equals 25 pi. That's our area. You can leave it just as pi for now. Now our volume formula, you don't need to memorize these, you just need to know how to apply them, because I'm going to give you the formulas on the whiteboard, so you don't have to like memorize all these formulas. You can always Google them, like what's the volume formula of a cone. So if you ever are stuck in the future, like there's easy ways to find these things. They're all over. Geometry's been around forever. So you can find all these formulas online. But on the test, you're gonna have a bunch of notes. You can use your workbook. You can use my whiteboard, which has all the formulas. So like, don't stress on like memorizing the formulas. I'm more concerned with you being able to do them. But let's talk again before I get sidetracked. This has an apex, right? Remember the apex predator? What's the apex predator? Great white shark. So the great white shark is an apex predator because it's at the very top of the food chain, right? And that's what an apex is. It's like the top point where like all the points on this circle, the base, all go to this apex. So what I'm getting to is like if it has an apex like the cone or the pyramid, the volume formula is base height over 3. You could also envision this as 1/3 base times height. Some people prefer that method. I've always liked base height over 3, just personally. So anyway, the area, which represents the area of the base, is 25 pi. So you're going to say 25 pi times your height, which is 6, divided by 3. So your volume, 6 times 25 is 150. Don't forget about that pi. You can't just forget about it, because that's a number. It's 3.14. And it's all divided by 3. This can simplify, take out the 3. This just goes to 50. So volume will equal 50 pi. And if you want to compute pi, you can, or you can leave it here. So 50 pi, just give you the number, is, shoot, I need a calculator. What am I doing? All right, give me a sec. So 50 pi is 157.0796327. So you could also say 157.07. You could say 0.1. And again, these are both in cubic units. Don't forget the label. You always get marked down for those. All right, so there's the triangular prism and the cone. Now let's talk about this one. This is a cylinder. Let's look at the base. The base is a circle. The area of the base is area equals pi r squared. The radius is 5, so area equals pi 5 squared. Area equals 25 pi. So we're going to say the base is 25 pi. If you want to label that, you can. 25 pi. All right. Now the volume formula, it's a cylinder. There's no apex. So you're just going to say volume equals base times height. Now you already got the base. It's right there. So volume equals 25 pi times your height, which is 8. So volume is 8 times 25 is 200 pi. So 200 pi equals 628.3. So if you got 628.3, that works too. Just make sure you say cubic units. either of these is good. I like circling answers or boxing answers, just so you can organize your final answer. All right, here we go. We got a pyramid. It's a rectangle on the bottom. How do I know that? Because one of them's 3, one of them's 4. That means it's not a square pyramid. So let's just identify that. It's called a rectangular prism or pyramid. It's easy to mix them up. Even I do it. So the base is 3 times 4, and well, it's a rectangle. The area of the base is area equals length times width. Length times width. So area equals 4 times 3. So area equals 12, and that's our base, right? So base equals 12. Height equals 6. But let me go back to the volume formula. It's got an apex, great white shark, top predator, apex, top of the pyramid. So your volume formula is going to be V equals base height divided by 3. Now you already got the base, which is 12. The height is 6, and then you divide that by 3. So volume equals 72 divided by 3. So volume equals 24 cubic units. And I recommend on all of these, do something like this. So go 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3D shape, identify it. Identify your base. Compute the area of the base, and then do the volume formula. And the volume formula is so easy. You just got to ask yourself, apex or no apex? And that'll determine if it's base height or base height over 3. If it's got an apex, it's base height over 3. Base height over 3, apex. Base height over 3, apex. Base height, no apex. Base height, no apex. So it's pretty simple stuff. But it just takes practice. And again, prism, cone, cylinder, pyramid. All right, here we go. Answer the questions for each of the 2 solids. I love this problem. I don't know why. Anyway, 15.2 missing measurements. Answer the questions for each of the 2 solids shown. You got it. Illustrative math. All right, which measurement that you need to calculate the volume isn't given? So for this one, which measurement is not given? Well, you got the height. The height is 7. You got the distance from a point on the base to the apex, which is 8. They give you that this is a right triangle that's formed, which is kind of cool. But you'll see this is R, and R is a letter that stands for radius. So which measurement that you need to calculate the volume isn't given? For this one, it's radius. Just organize it right underneath so you know what we're talking about. What about this one? Well, this is known as a oblique prism. If you really want to be specific, it's a oblique rectangular prism because the base is a rectangle. How do I know that? Because one of them is longer than the other. So this is known as an oblique rectangular prism. It just means a rectangle base. It's a prism. There's no apex. See, these lines are all parallel. But what it means is that for this, you need the length, the width, and you need the height. Some people confuse this as the height. That's not the height. This is the height right here, this dashed line. So for this, we need the height in order to compute the volume. All right, how can you find the value of the missing measurement? So for this one, we got to get this radius right here, right? So I've got a leg of the right triangle, and I have the hypotenuse. I know I'm going fast. There's a lot coming at you. But the reason I know that is because this is a triangle. Triangle's got, you basically got 3 points. But it's a right triangle. which means that I can use Pythagorean theorem. So you can just use Pythagorean, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And I would love to dive into the proof, but now is not the right time. The Pythagorean proof is so cool. I'm such a math nerd, but math is fun to me. It's really weird. How can you find the value of this missing measurement? Remember, we got to get the height, which is right here. So the first thing I would do is think, and then once I'm done thinking, color in this angle. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we got another right triangle. And we have an angle, which is 65, which is given to you. So I know you know this. You gotta, if you have the measure of one side plus the measure of an angle in a right triangle, you can solve for everything. And the way you do that is you start labeling the sides. So this height right here is opposite this 65. So you just say op. This 3 right here it touches the angle. So this one's gonna be called the ADJ. This one over here is the hypo. But we don't need the hypo for this problem. We just need the op and adjacent. So you got the O, you got the A. At this point, you got to apply that old acronym that we've been using all year, which is SOHCAHTOA. I shouldn't say all year, got introduced in Unit 4. But SOHCAHTOA is, it's a mnemonic device. So it's known as a mnemonic device to remember trigonometry. Now, trigonometry is like measuring of triangles. See the tri and metry, so you like measure triangles. But a mnemonic device is something that like helps you remember something. It's typically like an acronym. An acronym's like perfect example, SOHCAHTOA. So if you can remember SOHCAHTOA, you'll do yourself a huge favor in geometry. Now, we got to find the one that has the O and the A, and it's right there. So you know you're going to use TOA, but you need to now know, what does TOA mean? And the T is a big hint. That's why this mnemonic device helps so much. That T is a huge hint, and that stands for tangent. And then you just plug in your number, which is 65, which was given. And then opposite, your height. Adjacent is 3. From here, it's just super easy. 3 times tangent, 65. All right, let's go to C. What volume formula applies? They just want the volume formula. You don't actually have to compute it. They just asked you which volume formula applies. I think that comes in D, where we actually have to calculate it, which is why they gave you all this space. But the volume formula for a cone is base height divided by 3. Because if you go back to that last problem, this cone has an apex. So a cone, base height over 3. You could also rewrite that. Since the base is a circle right here, you could say pi r squared. That's the area of a circle. Times your height divided by 3. And remember, that's volume. Now over here, we got a prism. So prism volume, pretty easy. Rectangular prism. It's oblique, but remember from Cavalier's principle, even though it's oblique, slanted, the same formula applies because all the cross sections at any height are going to be the same area. So the prism volume is just length times width times height. So So prism volume length times width times height. All right, calculate the volume of the solid. I knew they were going to do that. And then round to the nearest tenth, if necessary. Okay, if necessary, just round to the nearest tenth. All right, calculate the volume of the solid, rounding to the nearest tenth if necessary. What that basically means is if it's a whole number, don't round it to 0.0. You know what I'm saying? All right, so here we go. You got your formula. It's right here. So you write V equals pi r squared times height divided by 3. Pretty easy. V equals pi radius. Oh yeah, you got to solve it first. We don't know yet. So here we go. 7 squared plus r squared equals 8 squared. That's Pythagorean right there. So 49 plus r squared equals 64. Subtract 49 from both sides. R squared is going to equal 15. Then you got to square root both sides. So r is the square root of 15. I'll show you a little trick. R is the square root of 15. We got to square it. So pi r squared, right? The height is 7. And then we're dividing by 3. The reason this is a nice little trick is the square root of 15 squared is just 15 times 7 divided by 3. What I love about this is you can knock out this 3 and this 1 because 3 goes into 15 and 3. So you're going to say volume equals pi times 5 times 7, which equals 35 pi. And if you want to compute that, you can. 35 pi is 109.95, so 110. That's our volume. And don't forget, it's cubic units. Got a little sloppy at the end, but that's okay. All right, here we go. Tan 65. We got to figure out this height first. Remember, because that was the missing link. Need the height. So height, we have it right here. You can always throw a 1 underneath, then cross multiply. 3 tan 65. 3 tan 65 is 6.43. So our height is 6.43. Volume, we already did that. Length times width times height. So you just rewrite it. Length times width times height. And then you say V equals your length, 7.5, times your width, 4.5, times your height, 6.43. Length times width times height. 7.5 times 4.5 times 6.43. So your volume is 217.0125. This is where I'm seeing why they said if necessary. So volume is 217.0. Okay, so we're just gonna say 217 cubic units. I now know why they did that. Okay, cool. All right, number 2, calculate the volume of each solid, rounding to the nearest tenth if necessary. Alrighty. This is our old, this figure right here, if you look at it closely, it's kind of like in that shape right there. Got a right triangular prism. This is a right triangular prism. So you know your volume is going to be length times width. I'm sorry. Your volume is going to be base times height because there's no apex. So, this is a tough problem. You've got a right triangle, this one and this one, top and bottom, you got to figure out this right here in order to get the volume formula. Because first you got to get the base, the area of the base. So the area of the base is a triangle. Specifically, it's a right triangle. But the area of the base is 1/2 b times h. So we're missing this dashed line right here. But you have a right triangle, and you've got one of the legs, and you've got the hypotenuse. So to get this one, we just do Pythagorean, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 48 squared plus this one right here, which we're going to call the height. No, there's a lot of h's going on. That's okay. It's a 48 squared. It's 2304 plus h squared equals 73 squared. 73 squared, 5329. You're going to get an h squared. You're going to subtract 2304 to both sides. Why do we do that? Because those will cancel. Because 2304 minus 2304 is 0. So you're going to get h squared equals 5329 minus 2304, which equals 3025. Then you got to square root both sides. So that h equals second x squared 30, excuse me, clear it out. Second x squared 3025 equals 55. Okay, so we got this is 55 centimeters. Whew, this is a long one. All right, so the area of the base is 1/2 BH. That's the base. 48 times 55. Your area is 1,320. Now your volume's a little bit different. So base is 1320. You gotta go base times height. So volume equals 1320 times 31. You're gonna get 40,920. 40,920 cubic centimeters. Final answer. 40,920. Whew. All right. Wow, this is only the second problem. I gotta hustle. All right, so 30-degree angle. 10 right here. Opposite. Adjacent. So we need to use this hypotenuse to solve for the height. OH. So sin 30 equals height, your opposite leg, over your hypotenuse, which is 10. So imagine there's a 1, cross multiply. 10 sin 30 equals h times 1, which is just h, so there you go. 10 sin 30 is 5. So your height is 5, okay? So your height's 5. Now you just gotta apply the volume formula for a cone, which is pi r squared times height divided by 3, because it has an apex. So volume equals pi. Radius, shoot, we don't know that yet either. So then you got to use Pythagorean. So 5 squared plus your radius squared equals 10 squared. 25 plus r squared equals 100. R squared equals 75. R equals square root of 75. So pi times the square root of 75 squared times your height, 5 divided by 3. So you're going to get pi times 75 times 5 divided by 3. 75 times 5 is 375. So up here, you're gonna get 375 pi divided by 3. Take out a 3 divided by 3, so you're gonna get 125 pi cubic units, which is in inches. So volume is 125 cubic inches. All right, one more, and then I gotta get teach. Oh no! All right. Spinning into 3 dimensions. Suppose this 2-dimensional figure is rotated 360 degrees using the vertical axis shown. Each small square on the grid represents 1 square inch. So 2,5 already, and then we got from here to here is 3. Okay, cool. So if we spin this puppy, it's going to be very similar to this and this. Take a look at these. I created these the other day. Spin this, you're gonna get a cone. Spin this, you're gonna get a cylinder. So we're gonna have right here, right here, a cone. And then right here is a cylinder. So cylinder on the bottom and a cone. So we gotta break these apart. Cone is pi r squared times height divided by 3. That's the volume. Cylinder is just pi r squared times height. Circles, pi r squared. Circles, pi r squared. All right, so cone, the radius is 2. So pi 2 squared times 3 divided by 3 is your volume. You take those out. So you're gonna get volume equals 4 pi. For that one, this one is pi. Radius is still 2. 2 squared. Height is 5. That's gonna equal your volume. So you're gonna get 2 squared is 4 pi times 5 equals your volume. 5 times 4 is 20. So 20 pi equals your volume. Plus this one, 4 pi. So volume equals 20 pi plus 4 pi. So your volume equals 24 pi. Woo! Got the volume, drew the solid. Check, check, done and done. All right, that was lesson 15. It's getting hard, obviously. It's way harder than Unit 1 where we constructed circles and stuff, but it's okay. If this wasn't hard, it'd be boring. So if this wasn't difficult, it'd be boring. Straight up be boring. It's fun when it's difficult. And also, I wouldn't be here. If this stuff was easy, I wouldn't be here. So, anyway, gotta learn this stuff because it's required to pass high school, but don't beat yourself up if you're not understanding it, because geometry is super fun, but it is not life and death, okay? So if you don't understand this stuff, you're gonna be okay. Don't beat yourself up. Come see me too, I'll help you. I'll just teach you the little tricks and you'll get through the class if you're like really struggling. Just come see me. All right, see you, bye.